serious note this morning, and I mean pan lovers in Trinidad and Tobago and even across the world basically looking at what's happening right now with Pan Trinbago, the situation with players not being paid and so many other issues that are happening with Pan Trinbago right now. A meeting was scheduled to take place this weekend. It couldn't, simply because Mr. Diaz, the president of Pan Trinbago, was hospitalized. He has since been released. You would have heard Mr. Kenny De Silva mention that they have been having meetings, though, with Pan Trinbago, and things seem to be moving forward. Some changes by the minister have been made, where NCC is now taking charge of certain aspects of what's happening with collection of gate fees and different things like that. So there are some changes taking place, but there are still some other major issues that are happening with respect to Pan Trinbago, the Pan fraternity, and what's happening with the Panorama competition. Tomorrow there's supposed to be another meeting, and we're going to find out some more about that and what the concerns are based on, well, what's been happening, non-payment, and so many other things with Pan Trinbago. So after all of that, on a very a topic that I love talking about, but this one has a sort of, will it happen or not happen? And we're talking Panorama. Dane Gulston, I don't think you need any introduction. If anybody knows anything about our favorite band, All Stars, and no, there is no bias or anything like that, you would know the name Dane Gulston. He's been very vocal over the past few weeks as well with what's been happening with the Pan Trinbago situation. And also Gregory, Lindsay, who's also on set with us this morning. So good morning to you, gentlemen, and Happy New Year after that very long introduction.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to the National
And
Republic.
we're hoping that this is a happy Panorama year as well.
Yeah, hoping we don't spoil your start of the year.
No.
But it will be all right, you know.
I'm sure it
we
will
really
be,
and
yeah.
truly, you know, we want to go too far back because everybody already know what's been happening. You know, we will. This is really for the players, all right? It's not really just based on bands, and someone has to talk up for players, you know. Yes, it will lead into the bands, but sometimes, you know, some people feel so big, you know, that your players don't matter at times, you know. So we really fighting for that. I mean, I was one of the persons who pushed it out, all right. And the players been kind of, you know, iffy and how they feel about the finances and whatever it is, you know. Now some people might say it's small, you know, $1,000, but that wasn't it alone, you know. It was just kind of some of the disrespect that we got from the administration, you know. But moving forward, we definitely want Panorama to go on. We definitely, as I say, I love my Panorama. I'm making it, no if buts, you know, Panorama is it for me when it comes to performing, you know, and for a lot of others too. We have a lot of youths, all right. But we still have to do some little ironing out, all right. With the present executive now, all right. One of the things we wanted is for, you know, them to step down, still kind of trying to push that direction, all right. You know, NCC came in, and the minister came in and said some words, but we meeting today actually at 2 o'clock before, just to try and really serious iron out some stuff, hoping that everybody also gets the monies, you know what I mean. That's some little mishap with the money issue, all right. They have to actually deal with that, more or less, you know.
With respect to the money issue, apparently, well, it was reported that some checks, well, some people tried to cash some checks and they bounced, but Richard Photo said that was not the case at all. So.
Well, yeah, he said, well, I mean, you know, a bounce check, I mean, they really didn't stamp the check and write anything on it. They just said they really didn't want to send out any money, give out any money as yet. They want to honor the checks as yet, all right? But I know some people got the checks cashed, all right? And things will iron out in a way that everybody will get the finance. So definitely we pushing to go to Panorama, right? Some of the only little issues I personally, and I think Lindsay has also, in terms of the start of the Panorama, I am not totally seeing the single Panorama coming out for this period. I know they will want it, all right? But because of what's been happening, I'm not seeing single pan panorama. So that's my personal view. I think the rest of guys also see it because it's hard, it's not fair. Because of what's been happening, people haven't been practicing, and people are still not really practicing.
Well, I was just going to ask you that because it's supposed to start this Friday, I believe. That
yeah, it's supposed to start Wednesday, and
Wednesday.
then push on to some other time.
Right, so it's supposed to start then this week, and then of course progress as time goes on. But no bands have been practicing at all?
Not no band in terms of the single pans, all right? The conventional bands, they have a little longer time, all right? And I mean, yes, they can start the small, medium, and large. But I'm saying it's not fair to all the bands, even if some bands have been practicing or not, all right? It's not fair to all the bands. We have a lot of single, we have 60 plus, all right? Near 70 single pans, and I'm 100% sure, not even 50% of that.
So it will be at a disadvantage to them if we do start the competition this
definitely.
week. And Gregory Lindsay from Power Stars, by the way, in case anybody, General Manager of Power Stars. So glad to have you with us here this morning as well. Now, one of the issues I think too is not just the money issue, as Dane mentioned. That is something, you know, it's an ethical thing. Basically, you do a job, you know, they should get paid.
Yes.
But I think one of the other issues I think that Panmen are looking at is the Pan Trinbago itself and the governing of Pan Trinbago. And I think there's been a call as well for the removal of Keith Diaz. But then what? I mean, do you have someone in mind if that is the case? And how is that going to develop? I mean,
well,
right now in the middle of the pan season as well.
Well, I think as Dane has intimated that is going to develop along a timeline. And what we have is that we have some consensus within the movement coming from a meeting that we had on Saturday under the auspices of both the northern region of Pan Trinbago and the eastern region of Pan Trinbago. What I have here is a motion of what is our, to answer your question, what is our sequence of events. Consensus was gained in moving forward in the following things, if I may read from my statement here. On Tuesday, a motion will be made at Tuesday's emergency meeting for the entire Central Executive under Acting President Richard Photo to step down with immediate effect, following the installation of a 90-day interim committee comprising of the 4 regional chairmen of Pan Trinbago and 3 other members at large. The 3 other members at large identified as the former mayor, Karen Valentine, former Vice President of Pan Trinbago, Mr. Michael Macano, who is the President of Renegades, and Mr. Keith Bayer, who is not only a delegate to Pan Trinbago, but he's also the Managing Director of the Superior Diatonics. Number 3, the person holding the finance portfolio on the interim committee will be Nigel Williams, the NCC accountant, in keeping with the utterances that the Minister and Prime Minister, through his countenance. The mandate of the interim committee will be twofold. That is, 1, to hold central executive elections in 90 days. And number 2, to operationalize in conjunction with the NCC the operations of Panorama 2017, providing that some consensual conditions are met. A, the immediate payment of all outstanding remittances to Pan players for Carnival 2016. B, that the remittance for players for this coming year, 2017, shall be $1,000, and further to that, that the Panorama rules regarding players performing in one band only will be changed to accommodate, as with the arrangers, that is, players will be allowed to play for one band in category at a remittance of $1,000 per band. C, that the enforcement and regulation of that rule that I have just mentioned, to prevent, as in past occurrences, what currently occurs, that is, the players and names racket will be jointly managed by NCC and Pan Trinbago to ensure verification and validation of players and their respective performances with various orchestras. And I say further to that, that measure and the oversight, that is not going to take the budget up. It is just going to make sure that we keep things in a proper gear. Number 5, that it is proposed that NLCB handles ticketing through its outlets, and gate receipts will be under the control of the NCC that the Minister has alluded to the benefit of Pan Trinbago in order to begin chipping away at that $30 million debt. 6, a secretary is being considered for the interim committee. The Northern Region Secretary, Ms. Desiree Myers from Invaders Steel Orchestra, was considered, but as of yet we have not reached a consensus to be made regarding this important interim appointment. That currently Mr. Keith Bayer and Mr. Michael Marcano are drafting, as it relates, a motion under the auspices of Senior Counsel Martin Daly for Tuesday's meeting to make sure that legally we do have a motion in place that is within the guidelines to be able to move over of the Constitution, to be able to make sure that we're not doing anything and operating ultra virus.
We are running out of time. I do want to ask
just
you
2 more points.
Okay.
The chairmanship of the interim committee will be decided by ballot from within the committee members at that meeting on Tuesday, and then from there the last point is that the chairmanship of the interim committee shall and will appoint a Panorama Management Committee, as is normal, for 2017, and assume the reins of the organization Pan Trinbago, operating under Act 5 of 1986 and within the Constitution of Pan Trinbago.
Okay, we've just got about a minute left, and but what happens if you have all these terms and they sound like fantastic terms, and I actually agree that this is something that this is the direction we actually need to take it, and you called some very good names there to head that committee, but what happens if you go to Pan Trinbago, because this meeting is supposed to be taking place tomorrow, and they say,
yeah. Well, we have a meeting today, all right? To be honest with you, I spoke to Mr. Foto, the acting president, and today we're going to really try and
hash out this agenda.
This agenda going into tomorrow's meeting. So we have, if you want to call, a preliminary meeting today, and I'm feeling confident that we will have some kind of bridge. We're going to make sure that things happen, because we really want Panorama to go on. You know what I mean? And it's very late, and we can't be going from pillar to post. It makes no sense. Yeah. We're going to make sure that things happen right.
Okay, so would you back down some then, if that is the case, or for Panorama to continue?
If I may add, within the area of the players' remittances for this particular year, and with the change that we are proposing within the rule, which has already been discussed, the thing about it is that we are sensitive to the economic conditions. So the negotiation of the players' remittance for this year, with the change in the rule, I guess that there can be some negotiation on that. But basically anything else, there's no negotiation on.
All right. I want to thank you all for taking the time and coming this morning to let us know about this. I mean, Panorama, this is like some people's lifeblood, and we are looking forward to the competition progressing, taking place. Clearly, it might be a little bit late for the single bands to start this week. Hopefully something can be worked out, because they will be at a disadvantage, and we don't want that to happen. We want everyone to be on a level playing field, no pun intended. So I want to thank you once again, Dane Gulston and Gregory, Lindsay, for coming and letting us know, and I do wish you luck tomorrow with that meeting, and hope that all goes well.
I just hope that Mr. Diaz is well.
As well, yes, of course. Of course.
I just want to ask that we're asking all Pan players to come out at Tuesday's meeting outside City Hall at 5 o'clock to show their support, so as we go through the resolution, to be able to resolve this conflict to move forward to hopefully have Panorama.
Thank you so much.